Real-life examples of a corporate psychopath compared to a transformational leader. In a previous video, I shared a study of a corporate psychopath CEO who replaced a transformational leader at a charity and all the organizational outcomes associated with that. They weren't good. In this video, I'm going to talk about what those differences were. One, the corporate psychopath made all the decisions himself. He didn't consult anybody else on them. Employees started calling meetings with him rubber stamping exercises because it was pretty much that he just wanted to present what he had already decided and have people put their rubber stamp of approval of, oh yes, of course. Direct quote from one of the respondents says, what I drew from that was that he liked to have teams around him that always said yes and followed and would not answer back. He also made working groups of just entry-level people to try to solve problems, and he wouldn't have his more senior leadership involved at all. And employees perceived that that was because the junior staff were more easy to manipulate because they didn't have the experience and expertise to say no, which he avoided at all costs. When approached about this behavior and how it was undemocratic, he started letting people have decision power, but it was over minor things like what brand copier should we buy, and not strategic decisions. And this was a direct contrast to the transformational leader who intentionally saw others' opinions and incorporated them unless he had very strong opinions otherwise. And if he did so, he would be transparent into why he had a different opinion and why he made the decision he did. Two, they said the transformational leader kept more boundaries, and while he had an open door policy and everybody could talk to him, he didn't just leave everything out in the air. He would respect people's privacy, and this second CEO had his desk right in the middle of everybody in the office so he could see everything and would have conversations that should have been confidential publicly, and it could be embarrassing for employees. Interestingly, the transformational leader was not as good of a public speaker as the psychopathic CEO, but this makes sense, right? Because psychopaths are good at being very grandiose and initially charming. However, they said the transformational leader was very good at delegating tasks so that he could focus on the strategic planning, and he was still inspirational and motivational. And another direct quote is, this authentic CEO drew respect and admiration from employees who would follow him to the moon and back, while the psychopathic CEO could not even get employees to follow him to the local pub. The transformational leader had a strong leadership team and things were well organized. The psychopathic CEO had a very dysfunctional team of very incapable leaders. The transformational leader empowered his leadership team, the directors, to do most of the work in the organization so that he could focus on strategy. Psychopathic leader, he wouldn't empower people enough for them to work on their own. Everything had to be his. Everything had to be his decision. He silenced any other voices. The psychopathic leader wanted to ignore all problems, even small ones, and never address them, whether small or strategic. And this is common among narcissists, and I'm not sure about psychopaths, but it seems like it, because they take it as a reflection that they are bad instead of something that they can fix. The psychopathic leader also had no idea of his own limitations. People had no idea what his skills really were. He just talked about how great of a visionary and leader he was. As I shared in the first video, this resulted in loss of respect in staff, lower organizational commitment for the employees, lower revenue for the organization, and they lost their position as a thought leader and innovator in their field. This is why focusing on skill and not just personality traits is really important, especially when you promote those top leadership positions, but all the way through the employee life cycle. And remember that respectful disagreement is not just a nice to have, it is necessary.